Mhm.
Right. Hello, everybody, and thank you for coming to this session. We're just going to get started. And so today we are talking about how to move from the unambitious, small-sized UBI experiments to the massive UBI programs in Europe. My name is Andrew, and I am one of the volunteers who is helping to host the Basic Income Earth Network World Congress in Glasgow this year. I'm here to host the session, and I'm also joined by another volunteer, Hamid, who is there to make sure all the tech runs smoothly. First, just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. I just want to make sure that everyone is muted unless they're asking a question, just so that there's no background noise which might affect the speaker or affect the captions. Also, when you are speaking, if you could just speak slowly and clearly, just to make sure that the captions pick up what you're saying correctly, and to help with people who may be hard of hearing. Also, if you have any other accessibility requirements, if you would just like to, you can privately message me or Hamid, and we will do our best to accommodate you. So the session today, Yitka's going to talk for about half an hour, and then we're going to go into the second half of the session is going to be more discussion based. So please feel free to use the Q&A function on Hoover while Yitka's talking, and also please feel free to use the chat on Hoover as well. I'm just going to let Yitka introduce herself quickly before we get started.
Sorry again.
If you just give yourself a quick introduction.
Okay. Well, I'll be doing that after the introduction of my topic, maybe. But yeah, I'm from Prague, and I'm part of Unconditional Basic Collective, very freshly set up organization or association that has very special aim, target, very concrete one. And that's actually what I will be talking here about in general. So I don't think that there is much more to say now.
Thanks very much. And just before we get started, I just want to quickly read our mission statement, which as a group of volunteers we came up with, and we were reading for each talk. And this was that we believe that freedom from poverty and human security should be a basic human right. And we believe that a basic income is the best method of transferring this right into a living reality. The time for a basic income has come, and so we are here to talk about how we can make it happen. We can only achieve this through cooperation and collaboration. And our mission with this Congress was to bring speakers and attendees from all across the world to take basic income from an idea into a reality. And so I will hand over to today's speaker, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to meet you here. I will beg your pardon. I'm first timer. I'm nervous, kind of stressed, and on the top of that, I will not be speaking about any done research, about any data presenting or statistics, but I will try to speak about more inspirative things and about a change of focus I feel is necessary. As you could notice from the title of my session, I will read the frontal part of my speech, and that's because I actually changed that while being present on this Congress, and all what I was hearing here and repeatedly listening to just made me to make some adjustments. So I decided I will read some short text or essay, very quickly written today. So I would like to get us to some sort of mood focused on my topic. The name of that is "We Can't Afford Exactly What We Need." And this, by the way, is to me the definition of capitalism or growthism in its brute nakedness. We can't economically afford exactly what we need for majority well-being, or actually for the well-being in general, speaking about our planet and ecosystems. We can't afford regenerative, sustainable living. We can't afford broad cooperation, safety, mutuality, care, consciousness. It's artificially limited and banished by laws, taxes, financial speculations, and strategies, etc. We are isolated and stressed on purpose. It's inherent to growth, to growthism, to growth-oriented economic system, GDP-oriented rat race imposed both on individual people and the whole nations. We can't have, we can have anything else in any amount of what will keep us isolated, separated from each other, and busy earning and spending money, competing and beating each other, both people and nations. But we have to keep producing more and more. And we can't have modest sustainability, broad cooperation, safety, inclusive care, satisfying rest. Not within the growth economy system, dividing us, ruling us, using us, exhausting us, making us weak and ill for its own purpose. Once we understand that, we have to change our strategy about thinking of small-size UBI experiments and trials as the only affordable, economically affordable things within the system rules, bargaining with the national politicians, and still think that it will open the way to the system change on a national level. It's a waste of time and energy. Because the growth economy manifested in GDP rat race among nations doesn't allow for funding nothing truly remedial on national levels. And the governments are merely the same hostages on the global GDP competition as we all are. And such a demand would threaten the core of the growthism, its own purpose. Besides that, when thinking of it, we have to admit that experimenting on people is inhuman, insulting, shaming, and only possible because majority of people are by this system made dependent through the structural violence and artificially stressed, and would take anything to get relieved, even for a while. Beside that, we have to move to properly designed permanent pilots also for a more essential reason. Because only rightly designed real UBI pilots can actually mean a move towards profound economic transformation, stopping the overall exhaustion and destruction we can finally feel, not only in the joint societal, ecological, labor market crisis, but even on the planetary scale, in the climate change we do nothing about, as the growthism and the fear behind it doesn't allow, even against our conscience, our moral sense, our will. That is our best hope about UBI. And rightly conducted massive and permanent piloting, that we changed the system, that we escaped, transformed it by experiencing profoundly different life based on profoundly different economic principles, allowing us supporting careful, conscious, participative, moral and truly economic regenerative behavior. Relieved from the artificial existential stress the growthism is keeping us in against our will. We do not want the real universal basic income implementation as a social care patch, not as a new temporary fix for the most crucial and the most visible and most painful problems. We want it as a profound economic game changer, as a system changer, from living under the imperative of extraction and exhaustion, isolation and competition, destructivity, towards economic safety and sustainability, togetherness, and overall remedy, if only there is still time for that on the planetary scale. But to achieve that, the real implementation of UBIE, the real permanent piloting, we have to stop playing the game about individualistic approaches and have to join powers and develop new strategies together. No more dividing. We don't need plenty of single national trials, so-called pilots, experiments trying in fact to prove the same, fighting the same obstacles, same battles on so many places. Let it be Africa, let it be Slovenia, let it be Scotland, against the very same principle that we only need to beat once. The principle is general. We need to prove it just once, to make it once happen, to experience it in the full scale. One big enough would be enough. And I call for the principle one for all and all for one. We just need to manage to push together for one real permanent pilot program big enough to let us feel it, experience it, bring it to the world. It can be funded by many countries or internationally or other way. It's up to us to develop the strategies. It can be analyzed by many countries in coordination, implemented then one by one as the recognized micro effects and benefits will set to work and the transformation will be set into the move. It would prove that money is no natural limited source, but an artificial tool created in any amount as far as the growthism is pleased and make sure when there is a need to make people cheap and productive and obeying. That it is a tool of structural violence, money today, and can be used also in the other way. In the concept of UBI, money can be used just as a kind of antidote, a tool to get us relieved from the stress and blind obeying. And it means that there is no insufficiency of money if we want to get a real pilot program funded. All we need to do is to join the powers and develop the strategies and talk right way to the authorities, only not on the separated national levels. And this is the end of the text. And now I will switch to my real mode. And what I want to speak about is that developing of the new strategies, the online world is open for that, and even more after this pandemic. We learned how to join And we can use the joint powers to fight together to achieve exactly what we need. And how it could look what we need. When I speak about the real pilot program, you have also, if attending the sessions from yesterday till today, heard many times that the researchers, the people from the field, the academics, all of them, they're repeating one thing. We don't have the basic income. We don't have it unconditional. We don't have it basic. We don't have it universal. We don't have it. So it must be permanent. Otherwise, it is just experimenting on people who are too dependent not to let it be operated on them. It must be permanent. It must be serious. It must be huge enough so we can feel the micro effects. It must target the whole community, the whole society. And it must be done together, not in one nation. It should be like transnationally coordinated in kind of good mood, in wishing that it really can happen, that whatever people we pick to experience that, it will be for good for everyone, for the whole world, because the experience will be transforming and it will get the power to get replicated. You just have to bring the experience into the world. And concretely, practically, at the beginning of this year, we started our association Unconditional Basic Collective. Then it means that it's not only about the money, it's about being in collective, being interdependent, admittedly, care for each other, basically and unconditionally. And I have a bunch of people around me, and the people understand what I'm talking about. We all understand that, and we just are going to look for strategies to find allies among you and others, and to develop the strategies to send the message that we need such a pilot program. And yeah, we are talking concrete shapes, but it's just a random thing. It can be designed totally differently, but like to open your minds. Okay, let's imagine one Euro region. When we speak about Europe, you know, the cradle of capitalism, of the colonizing and everything. Let's start here, for example, and let's make Europe experience that different economy. And yeah, let's pick up a Euro region. I'm from Czech Republic. Why not? So we have a Euro region which is partly German, partly Czech. That would be brilliant, because like on the border, Czech and German people were just in the history fighting against each other, and they were moving each other from the homes. You know, they were just moved away, the Germans from our borders, and then the other way around and again. And there's so much bitterness. Let's just like make the money, the magic, that the people will cooperate, that the people will care for each other, because we know from many studies and everything, we know how UBI could work. We know that. I don't need to elaborate, but you know, the Euro region is kind of big. It has like 1,400,000 people. Let's fund it, and let's make it permanent, and let's make it basic. And then let's never stop that. And let's just develop joint strategies, joint powers to focus on this one thing for the sake of the globe, of the whole global society of humanity. Because from such a pilot program, the whole world would learn. The whole world, every single country could be analyzing such a thing. And now a word about the strategies. As I mentioned, the online world is open now for that. And I have a fellow here, Julio Linares. And thanks to other people, as Antonios, as I see him here as well, I got to cooperation with Viral Group. And this is, for example, one of the strategies that can be spoken here about, because the new way of strategies is that we can be settled locally, that we can be locally active and effective, and then we can be joining and learning transnationally and have much bigger impact. And like Viral Group is one of those projects that are that are really proponing this. And also the movement mayors for the guaranteed income, you might heard about. This is also one of such things. And yeah, I would like us to build up such kind of strategies. So that was my initial word to you. If you feel we can now do the questions and answers, because I tried to be kind of provocative and kind of critical, and maybe a little bit inspirational too. But I deserve some questions and some criticism for sure. And after that, I would like Julio to talk about these projects. Or we can just do it the other way around. If there is no questions, I don't know. I haven't checked. Andrew.
Sorry, just 1 second. I was just checking the Hoover chat. So the questions. So who has any questions for Idka? Is anyone? Is one of the chat. Yeah. So someone's put. I wonder how that we still don't have an unconditional basic income. What do you think the biggest reason is behind that?
What is the biggest reason behind
the fact that we don't have an unconditional
basic?
basic?
We don't have it, of course. It's well, it's the basic core of capitalism. It's just that the governments, there is no real will, because all the economical principles are serving to this rule of growth, and there is no real will on the national